I vanished on a Saturday morning, leaving my sister standing outside my apartment with 3 children and enough bags to last for months. The expression on Jennifer's face when she understood I was not returning is something I will never witness but have pictured 1,000 times. Confusion shifting into panic, panic turning into anger. Honestly, even now, the thought brings me a dark kind of satisfaction that I am not completely proud of. However, this is not a tale of revenge. It is about what takes place when family love sours into duty, when helping someone becomes supporting their downfall, and when asserting no is the bravest act you can perform. My name is Catherine Taylor. I am 32 years old. I work with figures because they do not deceive me. Until 3 months ago, I was drowning in another person's life while mine slipped away with each canceled plan. The cruel part of being the dependable sister is that nobody asks if you want the responsibility. They hand it to you with a grin that says, both congratulations and you have no choice, then act amazed when you do not fall to your knees with gratitude. I lived in a modest apartment on the east side of town. Nothing luxurious, but it belonged to me. Every Saturday, I drove to my parents' house for dinner, sitting in their driveway for a few extra minutes, sometimes gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned pale, wondering why I could not simply turn around and go back home. Family is family after all, that is. What my mother always repeated, usually while handing me another duty I never asked for. This particular Saturday, Jennifer's worn-out Honda was already parked in the driveway when I arrived. My sister is 3 years older than me, 35, with 3 children, Emily, who is 12, Liam, who is 10, and Ellie, who just turned 8. They are wonderful kids but definitely keep us busy. Jennifer has been divorced for 2 years and is determined to find husband number 2. There is something nobody mentions in my family. My parents cover half of Jennifer's rent, and I pay the rest. Not because anyone requested it from me, but because when Jennifer was crying about possibly losing her apartment, Mom looked at me with those guilt-ridden eyes and said, "Catherine, darling, you don't have children. You can afford to help." Just like that. It was not a question, not open for debate, simply expected. I knocked on the door and was greeted by the usual disorder. The kids shouting, Mom trying desperately to calm them down, and Dad's television murmuring some sports event. Amid the sounds, I heard Mom announce loudly, "Catherine's here," in that tone she uses when something is either a disaster or a cause for celebration. Mom opened the door, wearing the smile reserved for moments when she wants something. She is 58, works part-time at the local library, and has mastered the skill of making you feel guilty while pretending to be light-hearted. Dad glanced up from his recliner, 61, retired from the postal service, spending his later years comfortably. Watching sports and grumbling about blood pressure pills, he said, "Hey, kiddo, how's work?" I replied, "Same old story. The numbers never lie, but people sure try to twist them." He laughed and returned to his game, completely oblivious that in about 2 hours, his favorite daughter would ask me to sacrifice my entire life just for her convenience. I found Jennifer in the kitchen trying to stop Ellie from yanking Liam's hair, while Emily sat at the counter, scrolling through her phone as if the surrounding chaos was merely background noise. This scene was so recognizable, I could have directed it blindfolded. Jennifer has always been quite striking, with blonde hair and blue eyes, and that smile she learned to use like a weapon early on. She is the type who assumes her problems are instantly everyone else's crisis. Since the divorce, she has been dating nonstop, going out 2 or 3 nights a week and leaving the kids with whoever is available, usually me. At least twice weekly, Jennifer shows up at my apartment after work with all 3 kids in tow. She wears that expression, the one that says she needs a favor, but will pretend she is doing me one. "Hey, Catherine," she says, "I know this is last minute, but I have a date tonight and really need someone to watch the kids." What am I supposed to say? Let 3 children suffer because their mother cannot plan ahead? So I cancel my plans, order pizza for 4, and spend my evening managing the chaos. In the evenings, I find myself refereeing disputes between Liam and Ellie, while Emily withdraws into her phone, likely wishing she could be anywhere else just like I do. Weekends prove to be even more challenging. Jennifer and Mom decide they need to go shopping, and somehow I end up being the one stuck babysitting all day. It is never asked politely, but simply expected, as if I have no better plans for my Saturday than to chase after 2 energetic children while their mother tries on clothes beyond her budget. I have attempted to bring up my feelings before. I have said things like, "Jennifer, I need some time for myself as well," or, "Perhaps we should organize a schedule so that these plans are not always last minute." However, every time I mention it, tears immediately appear along with a speech about how difficult it is to be a single mother and her search for someone who can be a father to her children. Then, my parents join in with their usual lecture about how family comes first and accuse me of selfishness for not supporting my sister during her struggles. Selfish. That word has been thrown at me so often over the past 2 years, I have started to believe it, as if wanting one evening alone was somehow the same as abandoning orphans in a snowstorm. Yet this Saturday felt different from the very moment we sat down for dinner. Jennifer had a radiant glow, and she kept sharing secretive looks with my parents as though they were all part of some beautiful and exciting secret. She declared with dramatic flair as she sliced into her pot roast, "I have some news." My parents responded with nods, as if rehearsed for this precise moment. Jennifer went on, "I met someone," and I could almost hear the violins playing in her mind. "His name is Derek, and he is truly wonderful. We have been seeing each other for about 3 weeks now." "That is fantastic, honey," my mother exclaimed, her face lighting up as though Jennifer had just announced she won a major award. Then Jennifer added, "And you knew this was coming, because there was always a catch with her. I truly believe this could be something serious. He is unlike the other men I have dated. He is steady, has a solid job, and he seeks something meaningful." I braced myself for the usual twist. With Jennifer, there was always a twist, and it often hit me like a surprise blow. "The only thing is," she said, glancing at the children who were busy creating abstract art with their mashed potatoes, "I have not told him about Emily, Liam, and Ellie yet. I want to make sure we are secure before involving them." There it was, the inevitable twist playing out slowly. Ignoring the fact that Ellie was launching peas at Liam like tiny green missiles, Jennifer continued, "Derek invited me to go away with him this weekend. There is a beautiful mountain resort around 2 hours from here, and he got us a cabin." My fork froze just before reaching my mouth. Here it comes. "The thing is," Jennifer said, turning her gaze directly to me, someone needed to look after the children just for the weekend, from Saturday morning until Sunday evening. I decided to put my fork down for the weekend, Jennifer, but I cannot. It is my closest friend Ashley's birthday celebration on Saturday night. I already RSVP'd and made all arrangements." The room fell completely silent. Even the children paused their food fight and looked up, sensing a change in the mood like animals before an earthquake. Before Jennifer could reply, Mom suddenly spoke up, as if propelled by an unseen force. "Catherine, darling, your sister is far more important than some friend's birthday celebration." Some friend. I felt my tone growing louder, and for once, I did not hold it back. Ashley has been my best friend since college, and I am exhausted from being the go-to babysitter every time Jennifer has a date. Jennifer's eyes began to fill with tears. That was her trademark reaction. "I cannot believe you are behaving this way. I am simply being realistic. I already babysit twice weekly and pay half of your rent. When will I get a chance to enjoy my own life?" "You are selfish," Mom said sharply, thrusting that word like a weapon once again. "Jennifer needs to build her own personal life. Then maybe she should be honest with Derek about the children instead of deceiving him." Jennifer's face first turned pale, then flushed red. She grabbed her purse and the children's backpacks, almost dragging them toward the door. Ellie began to cry, confused by the adults' tension and sensing that something in her little world was wrong. I could hear the car door slam shut, the engine roared to life, and then all became quiet except for the grandfather clock ticking steadily in the hallway. Then it began again. The lecture I had heard countless times before, but with sharper intensity this time. "Are you happy now?" Mom asked, her tone colder than I had ever heard. She is a single mother struggling through a difficult period. She deserves someone who can truly be a father to those children. And I deserve to live my own life. You are being selfish, Catherine. Family must come first. Fine. If you care so much about Jennifer's love life, then take care of Emily, Liam, and Ellie for the weekend. I simply cannot do it, Mom replied quickly, switching tactics with flawless skill. My back has been tormenting me all week. I injured it moving that bookshelf. And I have blood pressure problems, Dad added in. The doctor insists. I must avoid any stress. 3 kids for an entire weekend? That is just too much. They continued for 20 minutes, taking turns blaming me with waves of guilt and accusations. I was selfish. I was ungrateful. I did not understand what real responsibility meant. Jennifer had given up everything for those children, and the least I could do was help her find happiness. By the time they finished, I felt as though I had been hit by a truck. These were my parents, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. Yet here they were, treating me like some kind of monster just because I wanted to go to my friend's birthday celebration. Fine, I said at last. I will watch them. Oh, honey, that is wonderful, Mom said, quickly returning to her usual warmth. I knew you would change your mind. You are such a caring sister. I drove home in a single day. The first thing I did was call Ashley. Hey girl, what's going on? I can't make it tomorrow night. Family emergency. Oh no, is everything all right? Yeah, it will be, I promise. I'm sorry. I know how much effort you put into organizing this. Don't worry about it. There will be other birthdays. But after hanging up, I wondered if there would really be other friendships. How many times could I cancel before people stopped inviting me altogether? Saturday morning arrived too soon. Exactly at 9 o'clock, Jennifer appeared at my door carrying 3 duffel bags, her smile so bright it could light up a small town. You are a lifesaver, she said, nearly bouncing with excitement. I packed enough clothes for 2 days, and there are snacks in Emily's bag. Oh, and Liam needs his inhaler in case he gets too anxious. The weekend turned out to be chaotic. Liam and Ellie constantly fought, not just usual sibling quarrels, but intense battles requiring nonstop interference. Emily was moody and asked repeatedly when her mom would return. Honestly, I had no good answer. They disliked everything I cooked. Despite bringing what felt like half of a toy store, they complained about boredom. My living room became a total mess, with games and toys strewn everywhere. On Sunday afternoon, while I was in the kitchen preparing sandwiches and trying to maintain some calm, a loud crash came from the living room. I hurried in to see my brand new television screen covered in spiderweb-like cracks, with Liam standing there holding the remote control, tears streaming down his cheeks. I did not mean to, he cried, his sobs starting to grow. Ellie shoved me, and I retaliated. I did not, Ellie shouted back, her face flushed with anger. That television was mine, the one I had saved for many months to afford, representing numerous nights spent staying home instead of going out in order to save money, destroyed within moments. On Sunday evening, Jennifer finally arrived close to 8 o'clock. She appeared calm and cheerful, as though she had experienced the most wonderful weekend of her life. Her skin shimmered from fresh mountain air and romance. How did it go? She asked, barely noticing the children who were already putting on their shoes. "They broke my television," I said. "Oh, that is unfortunate," she replied indifferently, as if I had mentioned something trivial. "Kids, you know, time to head home now, everyone." That was all. No apology, no offer to contribute toward fixing it, and no recognition of all the time I had sacrificed over the whole weekend. She gathered the children and left, leaving me alone in my apartment with a shattered television and the smell of spilled juice deeply soaked into my carpet. Several weeks went by. I had the television repaired, paying $300 out of my own funds. I caught up on the work I had missed while managing 3 children throughout the weekend. I attempted to regain a sense of normality. But something inside me had changed, as if the very ground beneath me finally gave way under too much pressure. Then I ran into Tiffany at the supermarket. Tiffany is Jennifer's friend, yet over the years we had become close. She is one of the few people who knows just how much Jennifer depends on me for babysitting. "Catherine, hi," she said, but her expression turned uneasy when she saw me. "Listen, I need to tell you something. Maybe I shouldn't, but I think you deserve to know." My heart sank. "What is it?" "I had coffee with Jennifer yesterday, and she confided in me about her plans with Derek." "What plans?" Tiffany glanced around nervously, as if she feared someone might overhear our conversation. "She wants him to move into her place, but she still hasn't mentioned the kids to him." I stared at her, trying to grasp what I was hearing. "What exactly do you mean?" "She intends to send Emily, Liam, and Ellie to live with you for several months until she can gradually introduce Derek to the idea of having children around. She thinks you can care for them during the day while you are at work. Maybe you could hire a babysitter if needed. She believes you wouldn't object since you do not have children yourself. Presumably, I would pay for the babysitter?" "Well, yes. She said money will be tight with Derek living there," Tiffany admitted. I somehow managed to thank Tiffany and finished my shopping, but my mind was consumed by Jennifer's plan. She had been trying to unload her children on me for several months, expecting me to cover their childcare expenses, and deceiving Derek about their existence. She was ready to put her children's emotional health at risk for my entire life, just so she could pretend with some guy she barely knew for 3 weeks. Then I realized something that completely shifted my perspective. If I caused a big scene, they would just guilt me once more. Mom would sob over Jennifer's difficult life. Dad would lecture me about the importance of family loyalty. Jennifer would cry about how I was destroying her chance at happiness. And somehow, I would end up taking care of those children anyway. So I made up my mind to handle it more cleverly. The next morning, I contacted my landlord, Mr. Coleman. He is an older man who owns 3 rental properties in town. I had been a reliable tenant for 2 years, always paying rent on time and never causing any trouble. "Mr. Coleman, this is Catherine Taylor. I need to discuss ending my lease early due to family reasons." He replied, "You've been a great tenant, Catherine. If you can move out by the end of next week, we will consider it settled. I already have someone interested in the place." I hung up feeling much lighter than I had in a long time. I had 2 weeks to find a new home and move before Jennifer's scheme could begin. I spent my lunch break searching for apartments on the opposite side of town, far enough away that Jennifer could not just drop by unexpectedly. With 3 children and a heartbreaking story, I found the perfect spot. I found a 1-bedroom apartment in a complex close to the river. It was actually more affordable than my current place, and the landlord promised I could move in within a week. I took some time off work to pack and relocate. I didn't inform anyone about my plans. Not my parents, not Jennifer, not even Ashley. I quietly shifted my life to the new apartment, box after box, as if I were orchestrating the most intricate magic trick imaginable. By Thursday, I was fully settled into my new home. Sitting in my living room, enjoying takeout tacos, I was amazed by the quiet. No unexpected knocks on the door, no last-minute babysitting emergencies, no guilt trips about family responsibilities. When my phone rang and Mom's name appeared, I immediately anticipated the reason for her call. "Catherine, darling, I wanted to invite you over for dinner on Saturday. Your father is making his famous barbecue ribs." Her voice sounded off, like she was forcing a casual tone. This was the dinner where they planned to reveal Jennifer's scheme, filled with emotional pressure and the expectation that I would simply accept it. "That sounds wonderful, Mom. I will be there." On Saturday afternoon, I drove to my parents' house, knowing this was likely the last family dinner I would have for a considerable time. But I was prepared. More than prepared. Jennifer's car was already parked in the driveway when I arrived. Looking through the window, I saw Emily, Liam, and Ellie running around in the backyard while Dad tended the grill. Everything seemed so ordinary, so ideally familial, resembling a scene from an advertisement featuring caring relatives and Sunday dinners. Catherine, my mother, embraced me as I entered. Perfect timing. We were nearly ready to eat. We settled at the picnic table in the garden. The children behaved fairly well, likely because they were outdoors with plenty of space to move about. For a brief moment, I almost felt a pang of nostalgia for those uncomplicated family meals, back when the greatest concern was whether Liam would finish his vegetables. Then Jennifer spoke up after we had been eating for several minutes. "I have some exciting news." Mom and Dad exchanged looks. They certainly anticipated what was coming. "Derek and I have chosen to take the next step in our relationship. He plans to move in with me for several months, sort of a trial period before we discuss engagement." "That's wonderful, dear," Mom said with a voice thick with forced excitement. Jennifer continued, directing her gaze at me. "Derek is not quite ready to fully embrace the family aspect. Therefore, I thought maybe Emily, Liam, and Ellie could stay with you for a little while, just until Derek feels more at ease with the idea of children around." I nodded and kept eating my ribs, playing my role to perfection. "It would only be for a few months," Jennifer added, "and I know you need support during the day when you are at work, so I figured you could hire a babysitter. Since you do not have children of your own, you have greater freedom with your finances." Still nodding and eating, I found myself enjoying this moment more than anything I had experienced in months. Once Derek realizes how well I handle a relationship, he will be eager to meet the children and take on the role of their stepfather. This arrangement benefits everyone involved. Mom quickly joined the conversation at just the right moment. "We see this as a wonderful chance for Jennifer to secure her future, and the kids truly enjoy spending time with you. It is crucial for Jennifer's happiness," Dad added. "This might be her opportunity to provide those children with a real family." I took my last bite and wiped my hands on my napkin. "When were you thinking about moving forward with this?" I asked. Jennifer, barely able to contain her excitement, replied, "I was hoping for next Saturday. Derek's lease ends at the close of the month, so we want to begin anew next Saturday." "So, in exactly 1 week?" I confirmed. "Yes. I know it is short notice, but you are so good with the kids and don't have other commitments." For the first time in weeks, I smiled sincerely. "That sounds perfectly fine." Jennifer's face brightened as if it were Christmas morning. "Really? Oh my goodness, Catherine. Thank you so much. This will change everything for us. The kids will love living with their aunt, and Derek will fall for me without any distractions." After dinner, I helped with the cleanup. Jennifer was practically radiant as she spoke about redecorating the apartment to give it a more mature feel, removing all the child-related items. "I will bring them over Saturday morning along with all their belongings," she mentioned as we loaded the dishwasher. "They will need their school clothes and everything else because they are staying for the entire week." "Naturally. And I will give you money for the babysitter once Derek and I have settled in." "Of course." When I left that evening, Jennifer hugged me tighter than ever before. "I love you so much, Catherine. You are saving my life." Driving back to my new apartment, the one my family was unaware of. I smiled the entire way home. Saturday morning promised to be quite eventful. On Saturday morning, I awoke in my new place and brewed some coffee. Sitting by the window, I observed the river flowing by, feeling calmer than I had in years. I was fully aware of what was happening across town at 9 o'clock sharp. Jennifer would be knocking on my old apartment door, accompanied by 3 children and enough luggage for several months. She was likely excited, maybe even relieved to finally leave her burdens behind so Derek could move in unaware of them. My phone began ringing at 9:15. Jennifer's name appeared on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. The phone rang again at 9:20, then 9:25. I muted it and returned to my coffee. By 10 o'clock, I had 12 missed calls and 15 text messages waiting. I finally read them. "Where are you, Catherine? We are at your apartment, but no one is answering. Why is there a phone number taped to your door? We called it, and it is your landlord. He says you have moved out. What is happening? This is not a joke. Derek was supposed to move in today." Then my parents began calling. My mother's name kept appearing on my screen repeatedly. My father sent me a message saying, "Call us right away. Your sister needs you." At 11 in the morning, Jennifer sent a long, desperate message. "I do not understand what is going on. Your landlord said you moved out last week. Where are you? Derek is arriving with his belongings this afternoon. The children are frightened and puzzled. Please return my call." I switched my phone to silent and went for a walk by the river. When I returned an hour later, I had 23 missed calls. The messages were becoming more and more urgent. "Catherine, please, I am begging you. I do not know how to handle the children. Derek just called. He is loading his truck now. I need you to take Emily, Liam, and Ellie immediately. My entire future depends on this. You cannot do this to me." I made myself some lunch and started reading a book. My phone continued to vibrate, but I ignored it. Around 4:00 p.m., I received a message from Jennifer that simply said, "I hate you." At 6 in the evening, my cousin Allison contacted me. Allison is the same age as Jennifer, but much more reasonable. We had always gotten along well. "Catherine, thank goodness you answered. I just finished talking to your mother. What happened?" I explained everything to Allison about the endless babysitting, about Jennifer's plan to leave the children with me for months, about the weekend disaster when they broke my television, and about how my parents always sided with Jennifer. Allison was silent for quite some time. "Jennifer, Catherine, I had no clue things were this terrible. No one knew because whenever I tried to bring it up, I was accused of being selfish. So I just vanished. I relocated. I now have an apartment on the other side of town. They cannot track me down because I do not want to be found. What happens next? I am unsure, but I refuse to be Jennifer's unpaid babysitter anymore." "That's great for you," Allison said decisively. "Truly, that's great for you." 2 weeks later, Allison got in touch with news that was better than anything I had hoped for. "You will not believe this. I heard the entire situation with Derek. When Jennifer failed to get the kids to you, she was trapped. Derek appeared with a moving truck prepared to settle in, only to find 3 children he had never been told about. Jennifer had to admit she had been deceiving him for months about having kids. I held my breath. He was furious over the lie and packed up his belongings immediately. He told her he couldn't trust someone who lied about something so important. I was not shocked, but I felt truly sorry for the children. They deserved better than to be treated like hidden secrets. How is she handling it? Not well. She has been calling everyone in the family, trying to persuade them to convince you to return. But honestly, Catherine, people are beginning to see through her theatrics. Uncle Philip asked Mom why you are expected to care for Jennifer's kids when she should be responsible herself. A few days later, Later, Mom called. I almost didn't pick up, but something pushed me to answer. It was Catherine. Her tone was icy. We need to talk. You destroyed your sister's life. Derek was perfect for her, and now he is gone because you refused to support our family. Mom Jennifer ruined her own relationship by lying about having children. She was protecting her future, yes, but she was dishonest and expected me to cover for her. You are isolating yourself from this family with your selfishness. You excluded me first when you decided my life mattered less than Jennifer's. Mom stayed silent for a moment. What do you want from us, Catherine? I want you to realize that I am not Jennifer's backup parent or her free babysitter. I have my own life. So, you will never help with the kids again. I refuse to be taken for granted once more. I guess there is nothing left to discuss. I suppose not. She ended the call. That evening, I received one last text from Jennifer. It was harsh. You are dead to me. I never want to see you again. You ruined my life, and I will never forgive you. After reading that message, I did what I had been considering for weeks. I logged into my bank account and stopped the automatic rent payment for Jennifer. Half of her rent was gone just like that. I made a screenshot of the cancellation and sent it to Jennifer with a message. Since I am dead to you anyway, I assumed you wouldn't want my help with rent either. Then I blocked her number. I had blocked my mom's number, as well as Dad's. For the first time in 2 years, my weekends belonged entirely to me. I could make plans without worrying about Jennifer showing up with 3 children. I was free to go out after work without constantly checking my phone for urgent babysitting calls. I was finally living life on my own terms. Emily threw me a late birthday party to compensate for the one I had missed. You seem different, she said while we enjoyed the cake. Happier, I replied. I feel like I can finally breathe again. It has been 3 months since I vanished from my family's world. I do not know when or if I will speak to them again. Part of me misses them, especially the children, but I do not miss the continuous guilt trips or feeling like my time and money were worthless. Allison gives me updates sometimes. Jennifer had to relocate to a more affordable apartment after she could no longer cover the rent. She is dating again, but this time she is honest from the first date about having children. My mom and dad have been more involved with babysitting now that I am no longer available. Maybe one day we will reconcile. Maybe Jennifer will apologize for exploiting me. Maybe my parents will understand that loving your family does not mean giving up your entire life for them. But until then, I am discovering what it means to prioritize myself. And truthfully, it feels amazing. Sometimes the most loving act is to refuse enabling harmful behavior. Sometimes, setting boundaries is not selfish, but an act of survival. At times, the family that genuinely cares for you is the one you decide to create on your own. I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and if this story resonated with you, please share it with others. Also, remember to leave a comment and subscribe for more inspiring tales about discovering the strength to take back control of your life when others fail to value you. Keep in mind, boundaries are not barriers meant to exclude people. They are the very groundwork that allows you to stand with confidence.